Our Black History Month spotlight turns its attention to Brianna Scurry, a title winner who inspired a generation as a key figure on one of American soccer's most iconic teams. Scurry was a starting goalkeeper on the 1999 World Cup winning U.S. Women's National Team, also adding a pair of Olympic gold medals as a regular starter. The first Black player to be a regular starter for the U.S. Women's National Team, Scurry made 174 appearances for the USA. Also, the first openly gay player for any U.S. national team, Scurry's contributions to the sport helped her become the first Black woman inducted into the U.S. Soccer Hall of Fame in 2017. And we are honored now to be joined by Brianna Scurry. Darian and I have chills right now. It is really incredible, Bri, to have you with us today during one of our features that we will be doing all month long here on Morning Footy for Black History Month. You're nodding your head as I'm reading through those accolades. When you hear all that you've achieved and what you've done, not just for women's soccer, but for the Black community, how much pride do you take in that role?
I have so much pride, I have to tell you. So it's an interesting thing because when I was going through all those situations and playing on the national team 14 years and in the league after that and winning Olympic gold and World Cups, I wasn't really thinking about the impact it was going to have on the community as a whole. I mean, I just wanted to make an impact and be a role model for everyone, but I wasn't really sure about how it was impacting the Black community, not until I was asked to be in the Smithsonian a few years ago when I realized that I really did have a huge impact on not only the world, but on the African-American Black community as well. So that was really interesting for me.
Bri, I mean, for you to say you didn't realize you had such an impact. I mean, I remember being a little girl wanting to dream to play on the national team and watching Dare to Dream and watching you make these saves and finally seeing myself and somebody that plays football is just incredible to think that that wasn't even a thought in your head at the time. And now we have the national team that is full of Black players. I mean, we have Triple Espresso. We have a Black Players Collective. How does it feel looking at it now and seeing how much of a trailblazer you have been for our community?
It is a source of great pride for me to realize that, like you said, it took me a minute to realize that I was having that kind of impact. And then to really go back and look and see now how things have come, how far we've come. I've gone from the only African-American player of color to have a starting position and openly gay to now being one of several. And the team now is just absolutely amazing, making great strides, winning tournaments still with, players of color at the forefront, and also, a lot more openness and willingness to have different types of people on the team at the same time. And it's just been truly amazing for me to see that. And I'm so incredibly proud. And I would like to think I had a little something to do with that.
You absolutely do. And unfortunately, when we talk about individuals who are trailblazers, it usually means that they had to go through things feeling alone at times. What was that feeling like for you, kind of at a point in time where we aren't where we are now, where we needed people like you trailblazing the path to get us to this point?
I really didn't understand that until after my mom died. So the story there is she had kept all my photos of all the teams I played on from literally 12 years old all the way through high school and even college and professional. And I really was like the only player of color in every single photo for years and years and years. So I guess somewhere in there, I must have just gotten used to it and decided to go ahead and pursue my dreams no matter what, if anybody looked like me or not. And so now I know that that representation is very important. So I'm just glad that I was the kind of person who was willing to forge that trail no matter what anyway. And I think I got that from my mom and dad saying that I could do anything I set my mind to always be first. And I think they knew that it might be great advice for me to go through and to have, to be able to achieve the amazing things I wanted to do in my life. And I'm so grateful that it was me, because not everyone is set out to be a pioneer, and it can be very difficult to have that role and blaze those trails. But for me, it's a very big source of pride for me.
And for the rest of us, because you wear that pride and I'm sure that pressure that you felt beautifully. I want to know, what was your reaction when you were inducted into the African American Museum? I mean, that is iconic. It is absolutely iconic and so deserved. But when you first were told that that's what's happening, what did you feel?
I was actually astonished. The story is really intriguing, actually. I was at the soccer convention that they hold every year in January. And Tony DeChico, who was my goalkeeper coach, his son Anthony came up behind me and said, "I've been contacted by the Smithsonian and they want to talk to you." And I was like, I looked at him like, what are you talking about? Why, first of all, why would they call you? And what do you mean? And so he gave me the information and we called, and one of the curators said, they wanted me to be the Title IX example in the Smithsonian, and that my body of work was very well known and very impactful. And I was truly honored and humbled. And the only thing that was missing from that moment when the museum opened and the Obamas were there to open it was, unfortunately, my mom and dad weren't able to be there with me to see that. That's the only regret I have about that. But I do know that my photo and my jersey and my gloves are in the museum now, and apparently will be for hundreds of years. So that's very exciting. Yes.
And very important history as well. That's incredible. I need to go check that out, actually, now that I think about it.
It's incredible.
It is.
That's so cool. Right. Well, it also just so happens to be National Girls and Women in Sports Day. And so I'm curious for you, when you look at other Black players in this sport, how would you advise them to inspire that next generation of young Black players in women's soccer?
So I met Naomi Girma, Sophia Smith, and Midge Purse and Alana Cook a few years ago in Utah in June, right before the Women's World Cup. And just talking to those young women made me know that they already know exactly what they need to do. And they are way beyond the understanding of what they were doing and what it meant and how to make an impact in their years way before me. And I mean, also Trinity Rodman, being able to be a mentor for her if she needed me here when she came with the Spirit. And now to see all these amazing players doing such fantastic things. And a lot of people didn't believe that they could win that Olympic gold this past year, and they did. I was one that did believe in them. And so these players are truly amazing. Not only are they blazing the trail on the pitch, but they are making huge inroads with sponsorship and support and the corporate world off the pitch as well. I mean, I know Girma just had the highest transfer fee in the history of women's soccer. And, you have fantastic players just doing amazing things and truly making an example and setting that stage higher and higher now. And so for me, it's just truly, truly humbling. And I'm just so excited to see that, because all these young women are not only great footballers, but they're just fantastic people.
Well, Bri, this is because of you, for you, and for generations to come. We know that you're so involved in women's soccer and advocating around mental health and community, and you're a public speaker and leader. What are some things you have going on that we can help amplify and support, especially during this month?
Absolutely. I mean, the mental health piece is so vitally important. I mean, that has truly become my badge of honor to carry. I do a lot of speaking engagements all around the country and around the world, and a lot of that has to do with not only representation and overcoming obstacles and resilience, but also mental health, because high-level athletes, high-level business people, there's a lot to carry. And in this day and age, there's a lot of instability in a lot of people's lives and uncertainty. And a lot of times they are afraid and they're scared and they're not willing to ask for help. And so that's one of the things that I like to do, is just to tell people that not to be afraid to ask for help. That is not a stigma. Everyone has, their concerns and issues, and sometimes things are really heavy. Family to look after, or expectations that may be higher than they can feel like they can achieve. But it's always okay to ask for help and to know that you can do it. And sometimes the road may be a little bumpy and you might have to pull out your resilience, but at the end of the day, you can do amazing things together with other people helping you.
Beautifully, beautifully said. Ladies and gentlemen, Brianna Scurry, an absolute icon, legend. It's been so great chatting with you today and hearing more about your experience. You have and are changing the world.